Chevrolet introduced an all-new front-wheel drive sedan for 1997. The new sedan had a contemporary design and got rid of the boxy and outdated styling of the Corsica. Slotting in between the Cavalier and the Lumina in Chevy's lineup, the new 1997 Chevy Malibu had a good amount of interior space and was well equipped despite its relatively low base price, while offering buyers a choice of a 4-cylinder or V6 engine. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the 1997 to 2003 Chevrolet Malibu, a modest and reasonably priced sedan that took aim at Toyota, Honda, and Nissan, and ultimately became the Motor Trend Magazine 1997 Car of the Year. So grab a Hostess honey bun latte, kick back, and let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Designed by Irv Rybicki in 1983, the Chevrolet Corsica was the sedan variant of its two-door counterpart, the Beretta. Going on sale for 1987, the Corsica would become a popular sedan. In fact, by 1988, it would become the second best-selling car in America, right after the Ford Escort. Fast forward to the 90s. By this time, the Corsica was a bit long in the tooth. Keeping in mind the car was designed back in the early 80s when the automotive industry was quite different. Due to new safety standards in effect, the Corsica and Beretta would have required a total redesign. Not to mention, it was predicted to suffer from in-house competition from the upcoming, similarly sized, redesigned Cavalier, which would be unveiled in 1994. So by this time, GM was already developing a modernized replacement for the long-running Corsica. 1993. Design work for Chevrolet's upcoming sedan was completed this year via Wayne Cherry. During the design process, Chevy had decided it wasn't interested in pushing the styling envelope with its new sedan. The targeted demographic for the new car was closely questioned in clinic sessions, and mostly expressed they were not looking for an overstyled or otherwise polarizing design. That said, the upcoming sedan would skip a zoomy appearance and go for one a bit more subdued. Shortly thereafter, the final design rendering moved on for production. 1996. A reinvented Chevrolet Malibu entered production for the 1997 model year, and this new iteration was completely different from the previous rear-wheel drive vehicle to carry the nameplate. Early model Malibus would be produced at the Wilmington and Oklahoma City assembly plants, while later models would roll off the Lansing, Michigan assembly line. Filling in for the Corsica, the new Malibu had a larger footprint with greater dimensions inside and out. Whereas the 1996 Corsica rode on a 103.4-inch wheelbase, the 1997 Malibu rode on a 107-inch wheelbase. The all-new sedan was also 7 inches longer overall. These larger dimensions contributed to 7 more cubic feet of interior room and a generous 3 additional cubic feet of trunk space. The Malibu slotted between the subcompact Cavalier and the midsize Lumina in both dimensions and price. Wheelbase was approximately 3 inches longer than the Cavalier and just a bit shorter than the Lumina. As far as overall length, the Malibu measured 10 inches longer than a Cavalier, but 10.5 inches shorter than a Lumina. Appearance-wise, this new GM 4-door was restrained and definitely would not offend anyone. This was done in the attempt to reflect a design philosophy that was more in line with Toyota, Honda, and Nissan. Like the contemporary Camry, Accord, and Altima from those brands, the Malibu's individual styling elements were not intended to scream for attention or otherwise impress. Wayne Cherry and his team focused on creating a timeless, holistic design while minimizing the bright work. The sole bits of exterior bright work were the chrome-laced full covers on Malibu's standard 15-inch wheels, a bright strip across the top of the grille, and the unique chrome wavy Malibu badges. As a way to make the buying and building process simple, only 2 Malibu models were available at launch, Malibu and Malibu LS. Despite being the base model, the standard Malibu came nicely equipped with all of the convenience features that buyers would typically look for. The upscale LS got all the features of the base Malibu, as well as a smooth and responsive V6 engine. With its base price of $18,715, the LS came surprisingly well equipped and proved to be an undeniable bargain despite its relatively low cost. In a nutshell, the new Malibu had the interior room, performance, and features to rival a Toyota Camry, while having a sticker price closer to that of a Corolla. Although the Malibu appears significantly smaller when parked next to a Lumina, it actually had a spacious interior. This was something also accomplished by Chrysler's JA platform sedans, such as the Cirrus, Stratus, and Breeze. Compared to the JA platform sedans, the Malibu's wheelbase was an entire inch shorter, but the Chevy's overall length was greater by 4 inches. The JA cars were roomy, but the Malibu offered more front and rear headroom and more shoulder room than those competitors. Legroom was pretty much the same as the Cloud cars, but as far as cargo capacity, the Cloud cars could hold just 15.7 cubic feet, while the Malibu could gobble up 16.4 cubic feet of cargo. Check out our 1995 Chrysler Cirrus episode to learn more about the Chrysler Cloud cars. Buyers demanded more performance out of their family sedans, and as far as engine choices, Chevy provided responsive powertrains for the new Malibu. The standard engine was a 2.4-liter dual overhead cam inline-4 that cranked out 150 horsepower. While those numbers might sound modest, let's keep in mind this car had a relatively low curb weight. Combined with the 4-banger's power band, the base model had brisk performance, with some tests even clocking in with a high 8-second 0 to 60. That might sound slow by today's standards, but during the time it was more than adequate for a reasonably priced 4-banger family sedan. Standard in the Malibu LS and optional in the base car was a 3.1-liter overhead valve V6. The V6 cranked out 155 ponies, and while it only boasted a 5-horsepower advantage over the 4-banger, it was an overall smoother engine, provided much more torque, and GM typically offered this V6 at a similar price point as 4-cylinder Camrys and Accords. The pushrod design translated to fewer parts, and therefore lower manufacturing costs. Compared to the overhead cam V6 engines utilized in the Malibu's import rivals, the lower cost helped Chevy provide its price advantage. The Malibu had a slightly upscale twin that could be found on Oldsmobile showroom floors. Known as the Oldsmobile Cutlass, the sedan would have a brief run, filling in for the Cutlass Sierra and serving as a placeholder until the Alero arrived. The Malibu's 3.1-liter V6 was updated in 2000. With a new power rating, the engine cranked out a welcome 170 horsepower. By this time, the 4-banger was dropped, so whether you purchased the base or LS, you were getting standard V6 power regardless. GM had been readying an all-new Malibu, which went on sale in 2003 for the 2004 model year. With this redesigned Malibu now on sale, the old outgoing Malibu was renamed Chevrolet Classic and remained in production for the 2004 and 2005 model years. Although the old car was still available, it was primarily fleet sales that kept it going. A 4-banger made a comeback in 2004 when the 2.2-liter Ecotec engine was offered on the Classic. Speaking of 2004, buyers could now purchase a redesigned Malibu which had moved to GM's new Epsilon platform, most familiar to Americans as the Saab 9.3 chassis. Being related to the 2002 Vectra C, the new 2004 Malibu came in 2 body styles, a traditional 4-door sedan and a 5-door wagon, otherwise known as the Malibu Max. Although the Max was essentially a wagon, Chevrolet preferred to call it a 5-door extended sedan. While the Malibu would generally be described as dependable, reliable transportation with a very laid-back personality, there was a concept vehicle that was looking to spice things up. Featured in the 2002 issue of Hot Compact and Imports magazine, the Malibu Cruiser concept was built by GM Performance Division for the 2001 SEMA show. Lou Elbert, Malibu brand manager, stated, "The Malibu Cruiser concept car shows the potential of this car and how it can be customized to attract everyone, from the youthful enthusiasts to the empty nester seeking more performance and fun from a daily driver. The attention-getting chartreuse green exterior could not be ignored. The highly saturated custom color, dubbed Sublime Lime, gave the concept a distinct appearance. The show car also featured a larger front end, new rocker trim, hood, front and rear fascias, rear spoiler, and an aggressively raised cowl hood. Power came from a modified, turbocharged 3500 V6, which cranked out 230 horsepower and 286 pound-feet of torque, paired with the 4T65E automatic transmission. In order to get that 3.5-liter displacement, the engine had an enlarged combustion chamber, and the cylinder bore was increased. There were many interior mods, and for appearance, a body kit, HID headlamps, and Euro tail lamps, which were quite popular in the early 2000s. Though an interesting concept, no pun intended, the GM Performance Division produced this variant as a show car only, and it was never greenlit for full production. Either way, the intent was to attract younger buyers to the stock Malibu and to demonstrate the car's potential with the help of aftermarket modifications. In a survey regarding the 1997 Malibu, the typical owner averaged roughly 48 years old, though the largest single group, 18%, was 65 or older. Over 75% of the surveyed owners listed the Malibu's fresh, clean styling as a major influence in their buying decision, with 21% admitting the conservative styling was the primary reason they chose the car. Value and prior Chevy ownership came in at 14% and 13%, respectively. There were a few owners that even mentioned they bought the car because they had owned a previous generation Malibu. And let's keep in mind, the rear drive previous generation was a completely different car with very little in common with the new model, other than the name. The Malibu that we focused on in this discussion is often referred to as the N-Body Malibu, known as the General Motors N platform. This was a front-wheel drive platform produced from 1984 to 2005. Beginning in late 1984 for the 1985 model year, the N-Body started out underpinning cars such as the 1985 Pontiac Grand Am and the 1985 Oldsmobile Calais, just to name two. Fast forward to the 90s. After various revisions and by its final generation, the platform became known as the GMX 130 and underpinned cars such as the 1999 Pontiac Grand Am, 1999 Oldsmobile Alero, not to mention the 1997 Oldsmobile Cutlass that we discussed earlier, and the focal point of this video, the 1997 Malibu. Granted the car is bone stock, there is a quick and easy way to distinguish between a 90s or early 2000s Malibu. The 1997 to 1999 Malibu sported a front grille with a stylized silver Malibu logo in the center. The 2000 to 2003 model, as well as the Classic, sported a traditional bow tie emblem, which was blue in color. While many might find this car bland and a bit boring, I actually like the simple, straightforward design of this generation Malibu. When this generation first came out, my high school adopted one as a driver's ed vehicle. Being in driver's ed, I recall the Malibu being easy to drive with good handling, firm seats, and overall practical with ample space. And as a bonus, the AC got really cold. Let us know if you owned or drove a 1997 to 2003 Chevy Malibu or 2004 to 2005 Malibu Classic. As always, thanks for coming out to the show, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until next time, this is your host Rob, and thanks for tuning in to Antique Tags.